Welcome to the program of the Atheist Center Unbound by CAGES, written by Jim Herrick. Today, I am going to read out to the 8th chapter of this book, The Empowerment of Women. The strength of atheism lies in its practice. These words of Gora's wife, Saraswati, point to the principle which she shared with Gora. Among the many reforms and changes which they practiced was the promotion of freedom and strength among women. There was a historic change in women's position throughout the 20th century, and these two ardent reformers played their part in developing the power of women. This can be seen in the force and determination with which Saraswati led the activity of the Atheist Center after Gora's death. Likewise, it is seen in the effective and diverse ways in which Gora's daughters carried out the work of positive atheism in the fields of medicine, social work, and politics. There is a long-standing tradition of powerful women in India. In the pre-independence Congress party, there were more active women than in the combined Russian and Chinese revolutionary parties. In 1925, the first elected president of the Indian National Congress was a woman, Sarojini Naidu. A powerful but not really admired leader was Indira Gandhi, similar to the Prime Minister Mrs. Thatcher in the UK. Neither of them had any proposals for reform or instincts towards the poor. A contrast was Pandita Ramabai, who pioneered education for women. In the mid-19th century, she fought for women to overcome illiteracy and ill health. She also fought for widows and for women doctors. Raja Ram Mohan Rai fought superstition and the practice of sati, challenging the British government energetically on this subject. Mrs. Parikh was a humanist who developed an organization to help women and children in the slums of Bombay, as it was then called. Family planning information and medical knowledge were able to improve a considerable number of women. Mrs. Durgabai pledged for socialism and female emancipation. She arranged education for two of Saraswati's children. She was much influenced by Gandhi and was imprisoned for her part in the Salt Satyagraha, where she taught fellow prisoners Hindi. Moved by the plight of women and girls, she studied law and became a leading criminal lawyer. Power and strength are not always accompanied by insight and generosity. Women have been bastions of conservatism in churches and temples. Women became slaves to men and were tied by the slavery of theism. Gora saw that changes in the position of women could bring about changes to the whole family, a lasting change which could bring about change to society. Among the many influences of Gandhi on Gora was his work for liberation of women. The Gandhian protest against the salt tax was joined by many women. Women could change the voting pattern in parliament. There was change for the age of marriage for women. Not least of the benefits of women using their power with the liberation of man from wielders of the shackles to participators in understanding. Mrs. Vidya, Gora's second daughter, became a member of parliament and was also a leader of the organization to work for women, Vasavya Mahila Mandali, a center for abused and homeless women. Mrs. Vidya had training in hospital management, rural development, and teaching crafts. Also from the VMM, women were taught skills which enabled them to sustain their lives without dependence on a drunken or abusive husband. Maitri was very active here and gave counseling to women and enabled them to develop their own autonomy, their own independence. Tribal boys were taught to drive rickshaws, cars, lorries. A young woman became a heavy lorry driver. Contact across caste was encouraged. A working women's hostel was built beside the Atheist Center to help to gain confidence and skills enabled women to find a place for themselves in society. Women's work also included creating 50 non-formal educational centers in the village. Education was given to the poor, orphans, HIV-affected families. HIV/AIDS became more important. It is one of the benefits of the Atheist Center that a wide range of work can be integrated. AIDS education, medical work, family care, and self-dependence can all be combined. The women taking part in this gave demonstration of the powerfully successful efforts of women in society. Freedom of choice is so important. Hugh Gray pointed out that Gora was a liberator. He considered that just as open rebellion could end private property, so an open rebellion against the sanctity of marriage could end adultery. At the center of the women's enlightenment at the Atheist Center was Saraswati. It is notable that when Gora spoke about the activities at the Atheist Center, he often used the pronoun we, indicating the ideas and work shared with Saraswati, indeed what eventually became the joint activity of all at the center. Saraswati and Gora both abhorred discrimination against women. Individuals from the religions, Muslims, Hindus, and Christians work at the center in harmony with all the atheists. To this very day, the strong individuals at the Atheist Center work together very democratically. Saraswati rejected superstition in her early days with Gora. Like him, she suffered imprisonment for her protests, and like him, she took an educative and caring attitude to other prisoners. She was particularly active in the social reform in the rural areas. She was awarded the G.D. Birla International Award for Humanism. In 1996, she was given the Janaki Dev Bajaj Award for pioneering entrepreneurship among rural women. Vijayam, second son of Gora, wrote at the time of receiving the award, "The plight of women moves her most. What she strongly believes in is that human beings are capable of anything if they can get past the barriers laid down by tradition, and that religion is not necessary to lead a good and ethical life. You have to work with the oppressed as well as the oppressor," says Mr. Vijayam. And she believes that if you do it openly, change will come. There is much that has developed in the women's liberation movement. In the West, there is not yet the equality that ensures that women are paid the same as men for a particular job. Mary Wollstonecraft, in a vindication of the rights of women as early as 1792, wrote, "Thanks to the women at the Atheist Center, women's slavery is slowly vanishing." The humanist philosopher John Stuart Mill wrote The Subjection of Women in 1869. He penned the following words, "The most important thing women have to do is to stir up the zeal for progress. It is the zeal for progress which has animated Saraswati and the women at the Atheist Center." And here ends the chapter, The Empowerment of Women. And we shall meet again in the next episode again with another chapter. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English channel presented by Samaram channels, which crossed 20 crore views. Please like, subscribe and share our videos, and for notification of our new videos, please click the bell icon.